Want to. That's wonderful. How are you today? Are you well? Fantastic. So we can close the door now, I think, and so you can come in just, unless you want to hold the door open because somebody's coming. Is somebody coming? Would you rather it was open? Okay, all right. Okay, cool. Shall I wait for the people to come or shall I begin? Your friends are about to come. Okay, so shall I wait? Okay, all right. I'm going to wait for like half an hour and then just go. All right, see ya. Now that your friends are here, would that be okay for me to begin? Thank you very much. Pardon? Oh, it's a pleasure, it's a pleasure, it's a real pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be here in Karachi. I've had an incredible time. I'm feeling quite tired towards the end of the festival because I am. So I just want to make something quite clear before I begin to read. It's two things. One of the things is that if you want to ask me questions, please do towards the end. We'll do that. Yeah. So you can ask me any question that you would like to ask me, but you can't ask me what football team I support. Okay. Sometimes, because I'm from Manchester, I will do a reading in England, and then I'll do a long reading, and at the end of the reading, I'm waiting for this inspirational question, and then the question is, what football team do you support? So I've already talked too much. I write poetry. What I want to share with you before we begin, it's a structural matter. It's that I do writers' workshops, and this was going to be a writers' workshop in my understanding, but I can't do that with so many people. Does that make sense? I can't ask you to write when you don't have paper or I don't have a whiteboard, or is this making sense?
Yes.
So what I would like to do, you would like, thank you, you would like some performance poetry. I did not want to do the wrong thing, so you walk away and you go, what is it in there? Okay. Okay, so this poem is called Black Is. It's about being proud to be black. When I say I'm proud to be black, it doesn't mean to say I hate white people. I'm just proud to be who I am. If you're proud to be who you are, it doesn't mean to say you have to hate the other people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm proud of who I am. I'm going to begin with this. It's quite loud. It's not, I don't just read loud poetry, but this is a little, maybe, Black Is. Okay. Maybe you can join in so we can sort of wake myself. You can wake me up. Yes? Is that okay? So if you all shout out black, let's make the whole festival hear the poem, okay? If you shout out black is, I will finish the line. Okay, you got that?
Yes.
Okay, firstly I've got to apologise also for only speaking one language. I only speak English and I should know more languages. I should know Urdu. It's the oldest languages in the world, and it's the language of poetry, etc., etc. I should know a whole lot of languages, not just Urdu. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, right. Black is after 3. 1, 2, 3!
Black
The pupil of the eye, putting colour in the sea, skin, the earth and sky.
Black
The oil of the engine on which your whole world's depending. Light years of space holding on its little finger, this human race. The colour of coal giving warmth to the minus, warmth to the cold. Strip upon my card cash that lets me get money from the Halifax. The shade of the tree, sharp in definition against inequality. Yes, a blacker on a blacker is a blacker is a blacker is a strong as asphalt. And Tamaka is a blacker. Is the pupil of the eye, putting colour in the sea, skin, the earth and sky. A blacker. Is the oil of the atom, which your whole world's dependent. A blacker on a blacker is a blacker. A blacker is a strong as asphalt. And Tamaka is a blacker is a love to see. Yes, sir. Black is that. Yes, sir. Black is me. Was it like in the middle of the poem? You were like, this poem is called The Emperor's Proclaimer. For anybody who's seen me before, as I said, this reading might be quite different. All of my readings are different, or as different as I can make them, and that's okay, just so you know. The Emperor's Watchmaker. This book is based... Oh, no. The Emperor's Watchmaker. He swished through the crowd in the square. Is that Talha? How are you doing? Good, good, I'm good, man. I thought, were you not well, or are you okay? No, me too, man, for real. Oh, it's okay, you don't have to be sorry, it's all good. It's all good in the mud. I said to my mother, you just don't understand me. She care. I have to think about it, it takes a while. I said to my mother, you just don't understand me. She said, care? So how you doing? You okay? Okay. You got here? Yeah. You got here? You are in radius there, I've got to say. Of course I won't, of course, you know. I do. This is not a spitting workshop. Because that's not good, it's not healthy, and it's is it? Quite frankly. Yeah. Do you remember when you were a child, you were about to be big, and your parent would, an adult would come to you and say, hello, and a little teeny little spot came out like that, and you'd be like, no! I love it also when you're little, you get told off, you know, you've done something wrong and your parent says to you, look, you shouldn't have done that. You start crying and your parent says, look, you must go in the other room to get yourself together, and you can come back and you think you're together, you think you're okay, and you come back to the parent and they say, are you okay now? And you go, yeah. Snot and tears and I know there are adults who've seen me at meetings who are looking at me now going, who the hell is he? What is he doing here? Everybody said he was good, but this is madness. By the way, I'm not setting adults against... that's too easy in a binary way. Ow, my neck, I've just hurt my neck. The Emperor's Watchmaker. Oh no, The Emperor's Proclaimer. It's from my book called Watchmaker. The Emperor's Watchmaker. He swished through the crowd at the square, with his rose of a nose held high in the air. The proclaimer loved the attention there, and made much of such a simple affair. He held the of his velvet coat, stroked his hair, cleared his throat. He was a shipper man, rich with catch, too jangling rich. He was a ship of a man, rich with catch, two jangling lifeboats of fat attached. Body quivered from chin to lips, and a bolshy burst from his lips. He sniffled his nostrils, raised his chubby chin, glared at the grubby people staring at him. And he read out his list with bulging eyes. Clean up the streets and brush the skies. He'd say, tidy the mountains, away the sheep. If the field looks tatty, sweep, sweep, sweep. Then polish the rocks and dust off the clouds. Silence the rivers, they're too loud. With a twiddle of his tash, a sniff of his snout, a flick of his eye, a hint of a pout, a short snort, he took away his scroll and returned to his stroppy little stroll. Saying, I am the proclaimer, as you all knows. Whatever I say is whatever it goes. I've written poetry for my entire... Oh my gosh, I brought the wrong... Oh no. Yeah, I'm going to read this as well. I'm going to read this as well. It's called The Man on the Moon. Are you going, guys? Yeah. Oh. Should we all wave?
I thought that was part of your story.
Sorry. The man on the moon. He collects the white bits of daylight, shovels them into his pockets and Wellington boots, down his pants and in the lining of his suit. He scrapes daylight from leaves, wet from the rain, licks it off windows, and with a small spoon, he'd scoop it from the edge of the shadows. He put 3 mirrors at the foot of his house, and each and every morning he would strip the sunrise from the mirrors and catch some more while morning. Then he'd race to each doorstop and take the tops, tiptoe through the valley, tiptoe through the gate, run into the valley and skim the sun from the lake. But his real work begins in the darkest night. This is when he flies to a heart-shaped rock in the sky. He takes the sun from out of his pockets, all tops and silver lockets, and he pulls his arm right back and throws it into the black. Like fireworks, it swings the midnight gloom. The light at night is from the man. So I began by reading that were written for children, published in a book by Bloomsbury. I'm now going to read poems which are published in a book by Canongate, which is a small publishing house. And they publish Obama. They publish Dreams of the Father. So I'm in good company. What I want is Obama's book sales. And then I'll be happy. This is a love poem. I wrote it and I love it. Danesh, I thought that was a good joke. Do you know what I mean? Love poem, but it never works. It never works. Should I just leave that joke?
No, you should.
I should keep it. And then somebody will laugh one day, won't they?
Somebody will laugh one day.
Thank you. So this poem's called Invisible Kisses. And I would normally have started with this poem. I feel a little discombobulated because I've started with a very different thing. But hey, it's all good. You okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you sure? Okay, all right. I'm just checking because you never know, you know what I mean? Are you sure? Are you okay? Good. Invisible. If there was ever one whom when you are sleeping, who would wipe your tears when in dreams you were weeping, who would offer you time as demand, and whose love lay more infinite than grains of sand. If there was ever one to whom you could cry, who would gather each tear and blow it. Do you know what? Think of the person that you love. If there was ever one whom, when you were sleeping, who would wipe your tears when in dreams you were weeping, who would offer you time when others demand, and whose love lay more infinite than grains of sand. If there was ever one to whom you could cry, who would gather each tear and blow it dry, who would offer help on the mountains of time, and who would stop to let each sunset soothe the shades of mine. If there was ever one to whom when you run, who will push back the clouds so that you're bathed in sun, who would open arms if you would fall, who would show you everything if you lost it all. If there was ever one whom when you achieve was there for the dream, and even then believed, who would clear the air when it's full of loss, who would count love your cost. There was ever one whom, when you are cold, will summon warm air for your heart to hold, who would make peace in pouring pain and make laughter fall in rain. If there was no one who can offer you this and more, keyless rooms can see open doors, who in open doors can see open fields, and in open fields see harvests yield, then see only my face in the reflection of these tides through the clear water beyond the riverside. All I can send is love. And all that this is, a poem and a necklace of invisible kisses. I'm so pleased that I get to read poetry at the Karachi Literature Festival. Yes. Oh, never mind. Does anybody else have any? No, joke. I was joking, sorry.
If
yes.
you'll be reading out the sandwich poem, because it's my favorite.
So you want the sandwich poem? Okay, it's a deal. You've got the sandwich poem. The sandwich poem is a poem about two sandwiches that are on a plate falling in love with each other. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So I'm really pleased you chose that. I don't read that many times. I read that yesterday or the day before.
I was there.
You were there at PACC?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, cool. So it's about two sandwiches who are on a plate falling in love with each other, okay? They're getting there, okay. Do I have to read this? I have to read it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, alright. Sandwich Love, is this the right book? I don't even know if this is the right book. How many did you buy? Yeah, true. I wrote one poem on sandwiches, and is it in this one? You know, as I get older, will I start doing this? You know what I mean? I don't mind, that's okay. Maybe I could, maybe I'll have to do that with audiences as well. Okay, sandwich love. Because we end up, as an artist, you end up going to all kinds of parties, like, oh, hello. And you're like, oh, hello. Oh, I've just read a book. Oh, I've just read a book as well. Oh, but have you read? Yes, no, but have you read? Oh, I read that a long time ago. I may revisit it. Okay, sorry. Try sandwich love. Angular sandwiches lounge on plates. They don't guffaw, gawp or gesticulate. They just kiss each other. Lip to salivating lip. They don't posture, pose and stylishly sip. They don't have calling cards, and though well dressed, have no need or will for public dress. They just pout at each other, smile and wink. They go down well with drink. Triangular sandwiches, all love struck. Have you ever seen a more glazed and blushing cook? Slap me with the sand and pull down the shutters. Smother me in butter, another one mutters. Stroke me down with cucumber slices. I like it like that, pepper me with spices. Massage that cream cheese all over my chin. Let your olive oil seep through my bread. Triangular sandwiches soaked in salad dressing, the lusciously laid lovers amongst the depressing pretenders pretending they're enjoying the chat of the who's who in the what's what of the where it must be at. They, lush lounge lizards, lay like when lovers undo, stretched by the rosed radish as corks seductively unscrew. But a suit will saunter, his hand will swoop limply from above, he will open his salivating mouth, push one in and shove. He will crunch her inside his grating teeth and leave the other sandwich sandwiched in grief. About love, I'll talk a little bit about hate. This is for a social worker who used to bully me when I was a child. He was just a bully, and that's just the way it was. I wrote this poem for him when I was about 18, and I've read it all over the world. So if anybody bullies you, you can write a poem about them and read it all over the world. And I will read this when I'm 94 and a half. But it's called, and it's very important to be subtle in poetry. I just want to let you know this here, just so you know, subtlety is important, yeah? Do you know what subtlety means?
Yeah.
I don't, so please. How am I going to learn if I don't ask questions like that and use words that I don't understand? By the way, there are more people that I don't understand who speak my own language than people who don't speak my own language that I do understand. Now, I can actually see your brain slowly coming out of your ears there. Just like, what is he saying? Help me! Help me! Think about it. There are more people who I don't understand who speak my own language. Does that make... I'm from England. God, it's so difficult to understand though. Anyway. England is a very small country with a big head. Let's put it that way. I'm from various places. People are always like, where are you from? What is your identity? You know, interviews. So, Lemn, where are you from? How do you see yourself? Are you a multicultural? Collection of molecules. I'm Ethiopian, I'm English, I'm British, I'm an egg. Do you get me? I'm growing, I'm changing every minute. Do you know what I mean? What are you? Oh. Then suddenly you think you've got to say, you know, you think you've got, okay, what am I? Yeah, what am I? Oh, you know, don't figure. I think the question should be asked of the person who's asking you. Why are you asking that? Then you get some interesting revelatory answers. Anyway, did I just do that in public? Did I just go, anyway? Because if anybody came up to you in the street and went, anyway, you would go away now. Do you know what I mean? But you do it on stage. You get a, sorry folks, I should be reading poetry. This, what was I going to read? I hate you, that's it. By the way, I've got a voice in the back of my head, it's going, get off now. I've got another one, it's going, no, you're doing all right. I've got one in the middle and it's going, give me some dialogue. Anyway. I'm not on drugs, by the way, for any of you. Yeah. And no medication either. But if you want any, I'll be outside. No, that was a joke, and I think we should split up into small groups and discuss whether it was a relevant joke at the Karachi Literature Festival. But to do that, we'll need funding. To do that, we'll need a worker. And to do that, we'll need a constitution. But that's another story. Because we'll need a worker to administrate the process as to whether that was actually a relevant joke or not. So we'll get a worker to administrate the process as to whether that was a relevant joke or not. But the worker will need to get funding for a building. The funding from the building will come from X. The Constitution will allow the funding to get the worker, to get the building, to administrate the process as to whether that was a funny joke or not. So we'll set up a panel, we'll get a worker, and it turns out that the worker's a tosser. I'll just take that word back. I apologise. So yeah, I hate you. The poem's called "I Hate You." You are looking at me like. The poem's called "I Hate You." As I said, subtlety is very important in poetry. You're as popular as a posted birthday gift. Have I talked for too long? I have, haven't I? I once said you wasn't that bad. I lied. You're a conversation number. Your presence sticks lips together. Why is it when your name is mentioned there's a sudden change of weather? You're a lift to a claustrophobic. You're a witch to a priest. You're gushy and gooey. You're my release. I wouldn't be a bell ringer with a face like that. Here, see how hard you can headbutt this cricket bat. How can we discuss the meaning of life when you don't deserve it? It's a bad habit, that breathing. I wish you could curb it. It's short and sweet, and there isn't much pain. Have you ever tried hang gliding without a plane? And that's the end of that poem. Don't even bother clapping. This poem's called "Let There Be Peace." As you can see, I've been having a lot of fun. If you see me for the first time today, it's difficult to curate the fact that I take what I do very, very seriously. I have fun, but I'm serious about what it is that I do. So anyway, this poem's called "Let There Be Peace." And after what happened yesterday, and what sad news that you had to hear today, I think it would be for that. It's called "Let There Be Peace." Let there be peace, so frowns fly away like albatross, and skeletons foxtrot from cupboards. So war correspondents become travel show presenters, and magpies bring back lost property, children, engagement rings, broken things. Let there be peace, so storms can go out to sea to be angry and return to me calm, so the broken can rise up and dance in the hospitals. Let the aged Pakistani man in the grey block of flats peer through his window in London and see Karachi before him, so his thrilled outstretched arms become frames for his dreams. Let there be peace, and let tears evaporate to form clouds, cleanse themselves, and fall into reservoirs of drinking water. And let harsh memories burst into fireworks that melt in the dark pupils of a child's eyes and disappear like shoals of darting silverfish. And let the waves reach the shore with a How is it that was, by the way, I can see I'm a black man, and often, like in England, which is where I was born, you know, people will stereotype you, you know. Sometimes I mug people just to get rid of the nervous energy. And I find it quite boring. People stereotype you as a poet as well in general, and stereotype you as all kinds of different things. And one of the great things about writing, about creativity and what have you, is that you be who you are. You know, not somebody who other people want you to be. You know, you be who you are to the best of your ability. And that alone is a celebration of humanity, of life, and it's how to connect with people. It's to be who you are at the best of yourself. But it also means that you will make mistakes as well, and that's all right as well. And I don't know how I started talking about that, but I did. I found sometimes when you're with an audience, you can bring them so far, and you talk, and you think they're with you, and then you end up on the other side of the valley, and you turn around and you say, you know what I mean? And they're on the other side of the valley going, what? What? It's not our fault. And you're right. Do you know which poem I was going to read? Did I say which poem I was going to read? I didn't. Okay. I'm going to read this poem. It's the only poem that has got Pakistan in the actual poem. That last poem that I read, it's normally an Ethiopian man from Addis. So this poem is called Immigration RSVP, and I read this once for the British National Party in England. Because they got a grant from the local council and they wanted more ethnic minorities and women at their event. That is a joke. Please, I did not do an event for the British National Party. I want you to know, okay, that I didn't do an event for the British National Party. Okay, I did not do that, and I wouldn't do it. Are you with me? Are you with me? Great. Have you got that? Do you not understand that? Because you can't go home and say, oh, I saw this poet, and he did an event for the British National Party. You can't do that. Because it's a bad party. They don't like us. But I pretend that I did an event for the British National Party. Because they got a grant. I'm just pretending. Do you understand I'm pretending, yeah? Okay, I'm not talking down to you. Well, I am talking down to you because I'm up here, but I didn't mean... The lemons, so this is about the fact that... The lemons you suck out from Spain, the orange you drink is from South Africa, shoes you wear are made in Pakistan. Woohoo! That is called playing to your audience. And it wasn't even subtle, you know what I mean? There was nothing stylish about what I just did. The lemons you suck are from Spain, orange you drink from South Africa, shoes you wear are made in Pakistan, and your oils from Saudi Arabia. You import your petrol from the Gulf states, your toys are made in Taiwan, your coffee they send from Colombia, and your cars are driven from Japan. You've flooded yourself with foreign good, but foreigners, you tell me, are bad. You say you're afraid that they'll overrun you, but I'm afraid they already have. I'm having fun. You've woken me up. You've woken me up. So I was going out with a girl and she said to me, a woman, and she said to me, and we went out for a date, a first and only date, and she said to me, you've got all this coming, guys, you've got all this coming to you. Don't worry, don't even take notes. In a few years, you'll be walking down the street and you're like, I know exactly what he meant. So anyway, and you deserve to laugh, and we deserve to laugh at the Karachi Literature Festival. This poem is called Dysfunctional. Basically, I'd gone out for a meal, and she said to me, so tell me a little bit about yourself. We were getting to know each other. And I said to her, I've got a poem about that. Like that. And I said to her, and I want to read it now. You know, so I stood on the table at the restaurant, and I said to everybody else, shut up. You know, and then she sort of wilted a little, but she sat there, and I stood on the table, and I read this poem. And I'd just like you to imagine her face as I continue with the poem. I like wrecks. I like ex-junkies. I like flunks and ex-flunkies. I like the way the careerless career. I like flat beer. I like people who tell half stories and forget the rest. I like people who make doodles in important written tests. I like being late. I like fate. I like the way teeth grate. I like laceless shoes, cordless loos. I like the one-bar blues. Hang, 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 I like buttonless coats and leaky boats. I like rubbish tips and bitten lips. I like yesterday's toast. I like cold tea. I like reality. I like ashtrays. I like crap plays. I like curtains that don't quite shut. Come on. I like bread knives that don't quite cut. I like rips in blue jeans. I like people who can't say what they mean. I like pens with no ink, pencils with no lead. I like spiders with one leg and worms that are half dead. I like holes. I like coffee cold. I like creases in neat folds. I like signs that don't know where they're going. I like angry poems. I like the way you can't pin down the sea. Sea! Anyway, she just left. This is another one about relationships. We black men, we don't have relationships because we're too busy mugging old ladies, robbing cars, rapping and telling white people how racist they are. I find it very difficult to contextualise myself and have a relationship at the same time. Anyway, by the way, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's very easy to set up what is known as a binary opposite. Do you know what a binary opposite is? Great, because neither do I, but I'll try and extrapolate a little bit. I'll try and speak about it. Binary opposite is where you say, if you're not one thing, you must be another. It's where you split the world into two things. If you split the world into two things, you can understand it very easily, but it's not how it is. People talk about black and white, but we don't know the opposite to purple, or green, or turquoise. People tell us we've got 5 senses. We've got thousands of senses. What's déjà vu? What's falling in love? Thousands of them. It's true. And the thing about the artist is the artist often will refuse for it to be black and white, and therefore is more truthful, and therefore is more dangerous, which is why many times writers all over the world, just for writing poetry, are locked away. Just for writing poetry. Just for writing poetry. Can you believe that? Because there's something. They're not binary. They're not one thing or another. It's just beautiful. Anyway, they are who we are. What was I going to read? Did I say I was going to read something then? No. This poem's called Gold from the Stone. And then I'll stop, I think, and then you can ask me questions. I don't know whether I've gone over time or whether I've talked too much or what, but Gold from the Stone. Basically, I spent my adult life searching for my family, and I found them all over the world. I've now got a fully dysfunctional family, just like everybody else. I'm not saying that your family's dysfunctional, by the way. Just so you know. You're looking at me like, what? You've come to our country. Oh. We're waiting for you outside, pal. Is this on film? It's on film, isn't it?
Yeah.
We
went outside.
No, I just want to say that wasn't me. Hi. So who was the guy? Who was the... This...
What you said was an alchemist turning things to gold.
So, could you... I would be so much more richer. This poem is called, but this poem is called Gold from the Stone, and it's about the search for my family, and I wrote it when I was about 16, 17 or something like that. I've read it, I will continue to read it around the world. If you go online, you'll see it on the BBC website. It's like, gold from the stone, oil from the earth. I yearn for my home from the time of my birth. The strength of a mother's whisper shall carry me until the hand of my lost sister joins onto my will. Root to the earth, blood from the heart, could never from birth be broken apart. Food from the platter, water from the rain, the subject and the matter. I'm going home again. You can't sell a leaf to a tree, nor the wind to the atmosphere. I know where I'm meant to be. I can't be satisfied here. You can't give light to the moon, nor mist to the drifting clouds. I shall be leaving here soon, costumed, cultured, crowned. Sugar from the cane, coal from the wood, water from the rain, life from the blood, gold from the stone, oil from the earth. I yearn for my home from the time of my birth. Food from the platter, water from the rain, the subject and the matter. I'm going home again. I just want to read you, I don't know what the timeology is. I should never ask that. 15 minutes, great. So I'm going to stop and ask you questions if you'd like to ask me questions. Sorry, I'm not going to ask you questions, you can ask me questions. I'm going to, I'm going to read this poem. It's called Pass It On.
Please continue reading.
You continue reading? Okay. This poem is called Pass It On. And all poetry has rhythm. You know, people talk to me in England and in Europe and actually in other places in the world as if I have an innate rhythm because I'm a black man. But everybody has rhythm because we all have a heartbeat. All of our cultures are involved in rhythm, whether it's the songs, whether it's the poetry, you know, whether it's the ghazals. You know, there is rhythm in so much Urdu poetry and so much poetry in all languages actually. And we all have a heart. So we're all driven by rhythm. We all breathe all the time. We just don't stand around going, you know, my heart is beating and I am breathing. My heart is beating and I am breathing. Which brings me to the fact that I grew up without a family. And one of the things that I realised is, one of the things that you don't do all of the time, like breathing, is say, I have a family, they are here. Because no parent would want their child to know how important that thing is. Because to know how important it is, it would have to not be there. And it's the same with breathing. To know how important breathing is to your spirit, your intellectual self, your physical self, your all, it would have to not be there. So I feel like I've been given an insight and a gift in seeing how important family is. Most people will only realise the true connection of their family when they have children of their own and they get a direct memory recall to their parents as if it was yesterday. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy for them to know what I know without having been through that experience. Those of you who know what I'm talking about will have caught it, and those of you who won't, it's all good because I probably explained it in too long a way, and also you were thinking that I was going to do something totally different at the beginning. So this poem is called, did I say what I was going to read? How is it that we still smile when the pressure comes? How is it that we stand firm when they think that we should run? How is it that we retain our integrity? How is it through this maze that we keep clarity? How is it through pain we retain compassion? How is it that we spread but stay one nation? How is it that we work in the face of abuse? How is it that the pressure's on yet we seem loose? This is the story about the rising truth. When you feel closed in, simply raise the roof. Martin Luther had a dream, I have a dream too. The only way to get it is to pass it on through. From the day we leave to the day we arrive, we were born to survive, born to stay alive, by all means necessary. I'm an accessory to provide the positive vibe. It's a necessity to clasp our past, to go to war with our fears, to climb and attain in our future years. No message has been stronger, no sea carried more weight, no army marched for longer, no wind swept at this rate. So pride in my skin is in the vision I have seen. Pain I withstand for I have a dream. Know who you are, know the ground on which you stand, and never build your house on a bed of sand. Know who you are, and know the ground on which you stand, and never build your house on a bed of sand. 6 months. I've been to Kenya, Sri Lanka, where else? A whole series of Canada, all over the UK, obviously. I'll be in New York next week, next 2 weeks. This is a world-class literature festival. For so many reasons, it's crucial. And that's, by the way, that's not my, thank you, but it's not my judgment. I'm not here to judge whether the festival is good or not, but to observe, just as you are, the nature of the festival and how passionate the authors are and the audiences. That's what makes a great festival. You know. A festival born out of pure privilege. In other words, we can have these authors here. I'm not going to mention any names, but I know that there are festivals around the world where writers fly in and they fly out again, and it's almost a cosmetic. It's unattached to the society it's from. You know, they're all over the world, and its sponsorship doesn't really mean anything other than feeding a sort of gravy train. And it's all good. We need them as writers in many ways, but we are enlivened by a festival that truly matters and that is truly rooted in where it is from. And it makes us try to be as good as we can be. Do you know what I mean? Which is there's no better thing to want to be in a place like this. So I commend you, and I thank Lemn Sissay for asking me to be here. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me before I leave to the UK tomorrow? Can I have some? Oh, I've got some. I've not been well today, folks. I've got to say that. And that's why I've been a bit speedy in my reading. I like to be a bit more relaxed. I feel like my timing has been slightly awry, and I want to share that with you. But I don't want to ruin it for you, so I better not do.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
I'd like to ask you about your writing process. Is
Yes.
it spontaneous, or do you find yourself thinking about a particular topic and then writing?
Well, it's a bit of both.
I think
The question is was the writing spontaneous, or do I find myself thinking about a topic?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I am commissioned by various people. I'm the first poet for the Olympics, for example. And I've just written a play, which was a commission. And so I can look at a subject matter and explore it, knowing that there is a poem in there waiting to happen. The poem for the Olympics, for example, was about striking women from the Olympic site who were the first strikers in British trade union history. And so in this very corporate Olympic site, there's a poem on a wall that will be there for the next 100 years about rebel women from the 1800s. And when I researched this matchmaking factory where these women were working in the 1800s, I found a line by a woman called Annie Besant, and that line said, if this is the 1800s, that line said, if there was only a poet to speak for these women. Wow. So there is always, you know this, Dinesh, there's always, in every story that you seek, it's there. You just got to dig and find it. You know, inspiration is around us all of the time. We have to work. It doesn't just come out. Why do we think that? Why do we think that it should be like a Nike advert? It just comes on the wall. Boom! You're like, oh, I'm a... You know, we got to do a little bit of work, not much. You're inspired by your children. You're inspired by music. You dance. You're inspired by clothes. You go out to buy them. It's the same thing with the writing process. You've got to look.
There were a few lines that you wrote about Karachi and mangroves over here.
Yes.
Do you remember those?
That's a really good question, because every morning I try to do an original tweet. And this one was, night recedes as mangroves of light spread across the Arabian Sea, full stop, writers are salt of the earth and the water that quenches its thirst. So I try to think of one line, like one of them was, fold night 15 times, turn vertical, how to make yourself a fan of the dawn. So I try to test myself. Try to find something original every single day. Some of them are terrible. Good morning, 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 morning. That's it. One of them became a building in London, in Greenwich. And if you go online, you'll see it. One of my tweets was made into a whole non-permanent cafe at Greenwich Station. And it's still there. So even though I joke, and even though I have a laugh, I work incredibly hard, and you can have your cake and eat it. I was always told when I was a child, you can't have your cake and eat it, and don't drink your tea too close to the television, and don't dip your biscuits in your tea. So you know what I do now? I sit at home all night, just like, and really close to the television. And you know what? I actually think the advice was correct. Because if you could see me, you'd be like, no, that's not healthy. Yes?
I have to ask you a question.
Yes.
And that is,
You got noticed by Olympiad to write a poem
Yes.
and a play and all
Yes.
that. How long did that take, and how did you get into notice?
I've been a writer all my adult life. I've been a professional writer since the age of 24. Younger than that, since the age of 21 years of age, the Guardian newspaper said Lemn Sissay has success written all over his forehead and a double-page spread. And I knew then, what I know now, is that I define success as to whether I could look in the mirror in the morning and know that I'm okay. And it's not always that way. And success to me was finding my family, which I've spent most of my adult life to doing. In other words, the ideas of success are very personal for me, and they have nothing to do with any market or any acceptance or any idea outside of a very personal journey. And that's not humility, me saying that, it's fact. I started to understand that without having a family, every successful thing that I did showed what I didn't have. All family is, whether it's good or bad, it is a point of reference. If you say, I'm going to leave my family and become independent and study and whatever, you are defining your family by what you're being independent from. You have a point of reference. I didn't have that point of reference, and I was aware of how dangerous that was. Dangerous. If a tree falls in the forest and it didn't fall, did it fall? You know, family is all about everybody saying it fell, and somebody saying no it didn't, somebody saying well it might have, and somebody saying why are you saying it fell when I said it didn't, etc, etc, etc. And that can go on. All family is a group of disputed memories over a lifetime, and between one group of people. And that has been my obsession through not having it. Like I was saying about breathing before, and I just wanted to say that, but I was always, I am a writer, and I was from the beginning, and I'm faced with the same thing that a new writer is faced with, which is a blank piece. When did I start doing that, by the way? Do you know what I mean? I grew up really hard. I've got tattoos on my hand from when I was in the children's home. You know, when did I start going, sir? Anyway, never mind. I'm rebel with a baguette now, you know what I mean? A nice bit of hummus. What I did, the most important thing I did regarding my writing and my career is write. It's still the biggest challenge to me today. But there were various opportunities. My first book came out by a great publisher who Farooq Dondi is very aware of my first publishers, because they are from the generation that is his, that laid the ground for writers like me. And he's still producing and still active and still making a difference. So I think your first book may be important, but the more I grow as an artist, the less I feel it is. I know that the most important thing is to create and develop your critical voice. It's easy to say that after being published, right?
excuse me.
Yes.
My question is, now for instance, the children who heard you, I'm sure they're so inspired by the poetry that they'd like to write too.
Yes.
They have this rhythm, they have this talent
Yes.
locked up in themselves, but then the know-how, the skill.
Yes.
I would like to ask you, have you conducted workshops for students or that? Because that's something which I'm sure everybody would be really deeply interested in.
Last time
because
I was
there's so
here-
many people who would just, by getting this training,
Yes.
just take off
Yes.
as young writers.
The last time I was here, I did a workshop at Karachi University, and there's somebody here who was at that workshop, and there's a whole, she's broke down my whole workshop online. She's written an incredible article about what it is and what it was, and it's quite beautiful to see. Such attention to detail. If I broke it down, I mean she's deconstructed it and looked at it. It's quite wonderful. Yes, I do workshops, but all you need to do is read at the moment. Write as well, but read as well. Read as much as you can. Enjoy reading. Find the love of it. And things like KLF. Come to writers' workshops where the act of writing happens. That's what I actually thought this was going to be, which is maybe why I was a little. But the act of writing is a great thing that happens in a writer's workshop. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Anyone else?
When you first showed your work, were you scared, or have you always been confident in sharing your work, or is it?
Very good question. Can I tell you when I was really scared? Do you want to know? Honestly, about half an hour ago from walking on this stage. It's okay to be scared, and it's okay to be nervous. It's like a tuning fork. You know what a tuning fork is? It's like a tuning fork, and it means that you're taking what you do seriously. So I don't think that I'm confident necessarily, honestly, but I do think that I concentrate on what it is that I want to do as best as I can do it. And that's the key. Yeah? Does that make sense? You concentrate on that. When you're public speaking, concentrate on what you're saying, not on whether you're going to be liked or not. But then again, when I read, sometimes I want to be liked, and that's one of the dangerous things about.
I think a lot depends on the response you get to do. You can become better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that you have to do it for yourself. I really read for myself. And I think you should write for yourself first.